So first we're going to start off with dicing our onion, and of course get that outer layer off, and then we are going to finely dice our onion that will go into not only our sauce but also our meatballs. And next we're going to go ahead and dice our shrooms. I'm using shiitake mushrooms. You can use baby bella or whatever kind of, shrooms that you may like. Yeah, just dice those up into whatever size you prefer. But I'm doing a nice dice. And next I'm going to go through and finally mince my garlic, alright? So I actually start off by thinly slicing mine and then just going ham on it with my knife to get it finely minced. Some people like to leave it like that, just finely, thinly sliced like that, but I prefer to mince mine, as you can see right here. Do whatever you prefer, but I like to mince mine just so it's not huge pieces of garlic in my spaghetti. So next I'm going to go ahead and season my meat, starting off with the salt. I want to season it really well, but do not over season this. Beef does require a lot of salt in order to get some good seasoning, but don't overdo it. And I'm just using some fine sea salt. As you can see, I have some black pepper right there, and I'm doing probably about a tablespoon or two of each. And then I'm going in with my onion powder, and I do a lot of this just simply because I love the flavor of it. And then I'm going to go in with my garlic powder, which I love, and we're also going to add fresh onion and fresh garlic, but the garlic powder and onion powder really just adds that extra flavor. And as you can see, I'm going ham with these seasonings because I like my food to be seasoned. And there we have some raw, just freshly cut onion. You can saute it if you don't prefer it raw, but I don't mind it raw, so I just went in with that. And then I'm going to add some dried oregano. You can add fresh oregano if you have it, but I was just using what I had. And then next I'm going to go ahead and add some dried thyme. Once again, if you have fresh thyme, go ahead and use that. I'm sure it'll be better, but I was just using what I had on hand at the time. And then next, I'm going to add some of that fresh garlic that we chopped up earlier. I used about 2 tablespoons in my meatballs, and I reserved about 2 tablespoons for the sauce. And then next, I'm going to add 2 eggs. And this really adds moisture to the meatballs, just like you would in a meatloaf. And then we're going to add some plain breadcrumbs. You can use seasoned breadcrumbs if you like, but I just use plain because our meatballs are already seasoned. And then, of course, you want to massage your meat. You want to go ahead and get everything incorporated, make sure everything is well mixed so that you don't have, big patches of breadcrumb and weird shit in like one meatball. And everything's distributed evenly. And next I'm going to go ahead and dice up my fresh mozzarella cheese that I will be putting inside of my meatball. And I'm just doing a nice dice. Dice your mozzarella just as big as you would want it in the middle of your meatball, depending on the size of the meatball that you want. I want some nice medium-sized meatballs, so I'm going for a nice, probably about inch-size cube of mozzarella. And next I'm taking about a heaping tablespoon of our ground beef mixture and putting it into the palm of my hand and flatten it out like that. And then I'm just going to take a cube of the mozzarella, stick it directly in the middle, as I'm doing right here, and then kind of pressing it down and then just molding the meat around it. It's kind of like working with Play-Doh. It's really pliable. Just Make sure the mozzarella is completely covered and it has enough meat around it so that it doesn't, you know, completely come out. While you're cooking the meatballs, some of it may ooze out, but that's perfectly fine because we want to just cook it in the sauce anyway, so it'll still be good. And it should look like that when you're finished. And then next, I'm just going ahead and doing another one, showing you guys how I'm doing another one. And it's the exact same way. Just grab a nice heaping tablespoon or so of your meatball mixture, depending on how big you want them. Flatten it out in the middle of your hand like so. Adding a cube of the mozzarella in the middle, and then just molding the meat around it. And I, you know, kind of squeeze it in between my hand. As you can see, I'm going to like pinch it a little bit to make sure the mozzarella is completely covered, and then I kind of roll it around in my hand just to make sure everything is smooth and intact, like that. And then once you do that, you'll have a perfect meatball. And you just want to do that. I have about a pound of meat, so I went ahead and I think I had about maybe 7 or 8 meatballs or so. You have meatballs prepped. I went ahead and added mine to a ungreased hot pan. There's no need for any extra oil because the ground beef will give off its own natural fat. So I went ahead and added the meatballs to a nice hot pan, and then of course let them cook well on each side because we really want that nice brown color to add some nice, you know, pleasing look to our dish. And after a few minutes, I went ahead and flipped them, and you want to do this on each side. Look at how beautiful that color is. That's how you want your meatballs to look on all sides. So as they cook, just flip it to one side and continue doing that until the whole meatball has that nice brown rich color. And as you can see, at this point, our meatballs are brown all around, looking so good. And I'm just going to go ahead and take those off of the pan. And as you can see, they made their own fat, so no additional oil was needed. And you can see like one of them to the far right kind of has some of the mozzarella coming out, but it's still perfectly fine. It was still had plenty of mozzarella on the inside. But those look perfect. Now we're going to move on to our sauce. And I'm starting off with some good olive oil. I'm just going to make sure I hit the bottom of that pan really well because we're about to saute our vegetables, our onion, our garlic, and our shiitake mushrooms. And I'm adding my garlic first just to get some good color on it. You do not want to burn this garlic because it'll make your whole dish taste bitter and weird. I'm just going to go ahead and brown it slightly, and then as soon as I see it start to brown, I'm going to go ahead and add my onions and my mushrooms. So right now I'm just, you know, getting it around. As you can see, my pan is nice and hot, so it's getting that nice brown color, helping it to really bring out that flavor. And then now I've added my onion and my mushroom, and we're just going to saute it up until it's nice and slightly caramelized before we add the sauce. And as you can see here, it's getting nice and caramelized. I added a bit more olive oil to the pan just to help it, you know, move around a bit more because it will kind of dry out depending on what kind of pan you're using. So I just added a bit more olive oil, and it has a really nice color. So we're going to go ahead and add our tomato sauce. I'm going to add some Prego roasted garlic and herb sauce. And to keep this sauce completely vegan, you won't want to add what I'm adding next. Just add 2 jars of the roasted garlic and herb sauce. But I'm going to go in with some Italian sausage and garlic tomato sauce. But like I said, if you want this sauce to be completely vegan, just add 2 jars of the vegan sauce rather than the Italian sausage sauce. And I'm just going to mix that in really nicely. Make sure we have everything distributed before we go ahead and add our spices. And I'm starting off, of course, with a bit of salt, just to add some nice flavor. Tomato sauce in the jar is already naturally kind of bitter and slightly salty, but I just really want to add that nice flavor before we added everything else. And I'm going to stir that in. And then next I'm going to add some garlic powder. I told you I love me some garlic, so I'm going to add some garlic powder to the sauce, only about a teaspoon or so. And then next I'm going to go in with my onion powder and do about the same for that. And then next I'm going to go in with some bay leaves. It's like a staple in spaghetti. At least it was in my house. I'm not sure about y'all, but bay leaves are like an essential. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some black pepper. It is okay to add black pepper to your tomato sauce. Some people don't. I'm not sure why, but it really adds nice flavor. Then I'm going to add some dried thyme, as I did to the meatballs. Thyme and oregano really add some nice earthy flavor to spaghetti sauce that really makes it what it is. And next I'm going to go in with my dried oregano. And I'm just going to mix everything in completely. And some people are really going to hate me for this next step, but I mean, fight me. And next, you guessed it, I'm going to add about a teaspoon of sugar. Sugar is necessary in spaghetti sauce. I don't care what y'all say. It's not that much. It's only just enough to help balance out the acidity in the sauce so that it's not, you know, super bitter. So chill. And next I'm going to add some dried chili flakes just to add a bit of spice. I didn't want to add it when I sauteed my onions and mushrooms because I feel like it kind of loses that spice. But yeah, I just wanted to add it then. Then I'm going to cover it and let it simmer for about 10 minutes. And then I'm going to add my Boca veggie ground crumbles. For all my vegans out there, you can X the meatballs and, you know, X the Italian sausage sauce and just add this, and then you have your nice little meat sauce, girl. And you have the mushrooms for some extra protein, you know, and you'll be straight. But for all my meat eaters, you know, proceed with the meatballs, girl. And I'm just going to add those veggie crumbles and mixing it in just like ground beef. And honestly, if I didn't tell, you know, my friends and family that it was vegan crumbles, they probably wouldn't even know the difference, because it tastes the exact same and it really has the same, you know, thickness and the same look as ground beef does. And it really doesn't make a difference to me. It's cheaper and, you know, I can't tell the difference. So I'm just going to put the lid on that and let that simmer for about another 10-15 minutes. Just to let those flavors release. Then I'm going to add our meatballs into it so they can continue to cook and get really nice and tender and flavorful in that sauce. And we season every layer so it's going to be nice and seasoned so long as you seasoned it right as we went through it. And it's going to be bomb. So at this point our sauce is pretty much done. Once we let those meatballs simmer in that sauce for about a good 15-20 minutes with the lid on, everything, you know, the sauce is completely done. And we should be able to move on to our next step, which will be preparing our noodles. And yes, I'm going to add the juice, you know, that came from the meatballs when I took them out, because that's really good flavor. And why not? It adds some really nice body to the sauce. So just mix that in really well, and then go ahead and pop a lid on it and let it simmer for 15 to 20 minutes. Then I boiled a pot of water with some salt in it for my noodles and get it to a nice rolling boil like this. That's when, you know, pasta comes out the best to me. I'm going to add about a whole box of pasta. That's our first bunch. And then I'm going to add our second bunch. And I do not break my noodles in half. I leave them whole because I prefer them that way. And as you can see, after a minute or so, they'll boil down right into the sauce. There's no need to break your spaghetti in half. And I went ahead and added a bit of olive oil after I added the noodles, because when you add oil to boiling water before you add the noodles, it literally just boils out. So I like to add it once the noodles are already in there so that they can be, you know, kind of saturated with the oil as they boil to prevent them from sticking together. And after about 10-15 minutes, we have some nice al dente action. As you can see, our noodles are nice and tender. So at this point, we are all done. It's time to plate up, which is my favorite part. And I'm, you know, doing a little fancy girl, you know, trying to do a little, you know, some little tease for y'all. Plating it up real nice, just like that. I'm gonna add our sauce. And from here, we are pretty much done, y'all. Plate it up real nice, make it look cute. Take a little pic for IG, tag me, girl, so I can see it. And we are pretty much done. You can find this full recipe. It's going to be down below for now, but you'll be able to find it on my blog. So stay tuned for that. And there we have it. We're just going to add a bit of shredded fresh Parmesan cheese. Do not use the stuff out the bag. Shred your own from the block. It's so worth it. And then next, it's the grand reveal.